Assalamualaikum. My name is Rusnani binti Yahya. My metric number is 271901. Today I'm gonna present my review from article journal which is Leading with Heart Academic Leadership During the COVID-19. Okay, for the introduction, which is crisis in Malaysia. In year 2021, we all have been shocked by the issues of safety in our country, and it 100% changed our normal life because of coronavirus disease. This coronavirus disease will cause severe acute respiratory syndrome (SARS). So the government has introduced standard operating procedure (SOP) and also many actions that have been taken by the government to stop the spread of COVID-19. For example, the government also have closed some sector of business and it caused many people losing job. This is because some boss in Malaysia, which is they were easily fired their workers. Actually, this case shouldn't be happen because they should feel what their workers feel when they should lose their job after working for so long. This sudden crisis is certainly not easy as it not only involves the critical role the leadership have to play but the complexity of the leadership's role as well in taking over their organization and employee. Okay, for this part, I will tell about article review, which is a study about previous theory. Based on the article, it discusses about how to be a good leader during crises that exist in our country. This article is not only focusing the critical role that a leader should have and play in taking charge of their organization, but the employee and complexity of the leadership role too. The author have emphasized several aspects that are necessary in face COVID-19. For example, empathy, witness, self-awareness, and several other qualities. Characteristic and role of a leader can be seen through some theory of leadership that exists. However, this article has stated about the majority of theory that exist are unsuitable to use during in today's world crisis. Okay, for this slide, we discuss about previous story and why it could not be used. This article has stated about the majority of theory that exist are unsuitable to use during in today's world crisis. The author, who is a psychologist, has stated that every existing theory has its own weakness, and only a few can be adopted in dealing with the crisis that arise. There are several theories that was highlighted, which is trait theories, behavior theory, situational theory, contingency theory, and functional theory. This theory must be studied deeply for it can relate with the current situation and can be used for long term. For example, the theory of nature suggests that leader exists due to rebirth and not create. While behavior theory showed that the use of management grid model that assume that the work rates are slower, and while most situational and contingency theory assume that leader can only flip, change, and adopt different behavior. And next, functional theory say that action central leadership. This show that functional theory was assumed that leader apply behavior leadership according to need, regardless of their personality. So all of this theory is not suitable for facing the current crisis. This is because um, it reveals that lifespan of theory is limited and only relevant for their context. The author states that integrative theory is the suitable theory to use during the current crisis. This is because integrative theory concludes that the effectiveness of a piece of leadership is influenced by the leader, followers, and the situation itself, which may be more relevant during a crisis. Therefore, leaders should be aware of their own behavior and how their attitude will affect others. Next, leaders should understand the structure available in their organization to perform a particular task and analyze the situational variables that affect the followers' ability to complete the task, including environment factors. Uh, Integrative theory also state that leaders also need to recognize individual difference among their followers based on characteristic and motivation. This is because everyone have different characteristic or attitude that cause them to be different from each other. The integrative theory is effectiveness to use during the crisis because it is unable that each person's personal situation is different and the response given is also different to the crisis. In this critical time, leaders should be more compassionate toward their subordinate. However, firm leadership is also needed at the beginning of crisis as it involves a lot of dependence and on the decision taken by the institution. Once the leader goes through the initial stage in decision making to ensure the sustainability of an organization, then the leader needs to go through other layers such as dealing with various types of employee emotion. Therefore, it becomes the responsibility of leader to possess the necessary skill to withstand their emotion and at the same time take care of their own emotion. Next, a good leader also is who can lead in with heart. In this regard, the author, who is a psychologist, has suggested for leaders to adopt the concept of psychodynamic, which involves leading with the heart. This concept is applied to describe how organizations deal with the affective intensity generated by organization change. This is because leaders are stuck and have to make a choice between wealth and health. The author states how leaders can pay attention to employee health, especially mentality in psychological context. This action is also known as a way of leading with heart, which by imagining that the leader is aware of problems that exist and has a caring attitude to employee. For the conclusion, based on the integrative theory examined, it showed that a leader needs to think about a decision in more detail before taking any further action. For the result of the article review, I found that although the characteristics of leadership have existed before the COVID-19 epidemic yet, but the quality of leadership become more apparent when faced with a crisis that struck. This is because it is able to bring leaders to think and focus on individual, organization, and the environment also becomes sharper than before. In this case, we can see the difference in terms of leadership quality before and during the crisis more clearly. I hope that all leaders in our country take this issue seriously and use the appropriate approach in addressing this problem so that an agreement can be reached between the parties. That's all. Thank you.